Hello everyone and welcome back to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and we're going to start episode 2 of the Talisman Legendary Tales. Before we jump back into the playthrough, I wanted to talk about a couple things that I did wrong in the last playthrough. The first thing is, in my first movement that I did with the prophetess, I moved her 2 spaces and I moved her over here to the Hidden Valley. Now there's no road, so I don't really know if I'm going to be able to undo that. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. The game's going to be a little bit easier because I did that, but just so you know, if I wanted to get to the Hidden Valley, I would have had to go all the way around because you can see the road right here. There is no road connecting there. The other thing is, I had mentioned there was nowhere in the rulebook about how to place the blue tokens on the board. It's on the page next to the one with the adventures on it because it's technically one long page. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump back into the playthrough. The alchemist is thrilled when you provide him with the herbs and immediately brews the magic potion to release the fairies from the curse. Now turn the adventure scroll over and place the time counter on the space with the same number. Then continue reading. You can see we were at 8 on the other side. We're now 8 here, but we have all the way until 16 now for doing Chapter 2. Chapter 2, Rescuing the Fairies. Full of hope, you set out with the magic potion to release the fairies from the curse. Your task, at least one of you must travel to the fairy pool. If there are any enemies there, you must defeat them. Then we'll continue with the story after we've gotten to the fairy pool. We'll continue our journey with the druid going next. And he gets a 3. With 3 total movement, our druid can go 1, 2, and he does not have to encounter these since they're face down. He can move through them if he'd like, and he wants to. He's going to move to the Cursed Glade. Now we'll see if our prophetess can roll something other than a 1. Oh, she rolled the magic portal. This means she can jump to anywhere she wants on the board, and I think we're going to have her jump to the fairy pool. She'll jump herself to here. Now, because there are 2 encounter tokens, we have to reveal them. So we have a bat and, oh man, lots of magic hats. We have a giant spider. As you can see, we need magic hats for both of them. So let's do our encounter first, and then we'll move on with the story. So this is a little bit crazy, but normally I would say at this point we'd want to put our tokens back in our bag. But if you look here, we've got a 2 magic token, a magic token in there, and I think we have, a magic token or a time one in here. So we should actually be able to defeat both enemies just by drawing from the 4 tokens in here. So let's go ahead and do it. So we'll draw our first one, and we of course draw the one-time one that we have. Here's 1 magical hat, and here's 2 magical hats. Just enough to defeat both of these, but we are going to have to progress the time. We'll go ahead and move the time down to 9. And then let's go ahead and grab our 2 treasure tokens. So you get 1 treasure token per enemy you defeat. Oh, so we have, what is that, a ring? Oh, and we have another rune sword. The rune sword, I think, is not even a question. That's going to go into the druid's cup. The ring could be good for either of them because it's got 1 sword and has 1 hat. And we could consider that sword to be a hat for either of them, really. I think I'm going to put this in the prophetess bag. At the fairy pool, you find the fairy queen and give her a sip of the magic potion. Thank you for releasing me from the curse, she explains. Now, if you find my enchanted sisters and free them as well, they will reveal the location where we hid the talisman. Yes, the first of the 5 talismans. From the blue tokens with the jagged border you set aside earlier, find the 4 fairy tokens and shuffle them face down. Place 1 of them back in the box without looking at it. Then, without looking at them, shuffle the 3 fairy tokens with the remaining blue tokens face down. Place 2 of these tokens face down on each location that shows a fairy. Do not remove any tokens remaining on the locations from the first chapter. Here we have our 4 fairy tokens. We're going to go ahead and flip them upside down, and then off camera, I'm going to randomly lose 1 of these, and then shuffle them up with the remaining blue tokens that I have here, these jagged tokens. They're all a little bit more challenging, which I like, and then we'll take those 3 plus all of these, mess them all up, and then place 2 in each location that has a fairy on the actual tile. So you can see here we had to place 2 tokens here in the forest, because in the forest right over here you see a fairy. Also, the temple, there's a really big fairy, so I placed 2 of the tokens there. We have 2 tokens in the tavern, as you can see the fairy right here. There are 4 tokens over here in the castle because we left 2 of them there, and then there's a fairy here, so we had to place 2 more. So when we go here, there's going to be 4 different things we encounter. Finally, we have the 2 over here in the fairy pool, and here's the thing. Whenever you place new encounter tokens in a location with a hero, you automatically reveal them. So we're going to have a gnoll. Oof. And holy moly, this guy's an evil wizard. Oh, an evil wizard in the fairy pool? That's not good. That finished the prophetess's turn. Now let's move back to the druid. And he rolled a 2. I think we're just going to have him go to the castle. We know it's easy to get distracted by evil wizards and gnolls, but don't forget we're trying to find the fairies, and we do have to worry about our timer. So I think we're going to go ahead and come over here to the castle. Let's see what we find here. So we have a bandit. Ugh. And we have, oh man, a servant of darkness. What a name. We have a fairy. Awesome. And finally, we have bats. All right, let's encounter the 3. And if we could somehow defeat them, we could grab this fairy. We only have 2 tokens in our cup, so I think we're going to go ahead and place all of our tokens back in our cup and redraw them. Okay, so our first one is going to be just a sword. That'll take care of the rats. Then we've got just a magic hat. And finally, we have, a time or a sword. This is a hard choice, you guys, but I do think we're going to go ahead and defeat 2 enemies. The sword here to defeat the rats, and then the magic hat and the sword to defeat the bandit, just because we're going to try and get that fairy as soon as we can. So we've eliminated these 2. We get to draw 2 reward tokens. Let's see what we find. We've got these 2 right here. One is a unicorn and the other is a mule. The mule just gives you more token draws, which is kind of good and kind of bad. I think I'm going to give the mule over to the prophetess, and then I think I'm going to do the unicorn for the druid. Moving back to the prophetess, we are going to move, because don't forget, although there are 2 encounter tokens on that location that are face up, if we start our turn there, we can still move. And they're not blocking or guarding a fairy, so we need to find the fairies. Let's go ahead and move. And we can move anywhere we want. Ooh. It seems to me that our prophetess is an all or nothing. Either she rolls a 1 and hardly moves, or she rolls a 6 and can move anywhere she wants. Let's go to the forest. So here we see a goblin, and we see a fairy. Nice. So we just need to take out that goblin, and we will get our first fairy. And I kind of can't believe this, you guys, but if you look inside her cup, we have exactly what we need right here, and we only have 3 tokens. So I'm just going to draw all 3. We get what we need, and we have our magic wand. If you look here, the magic wand will let us move the time tracker back 1 space. We'll go ahead and move ourselves back to 8, and we'll draw another reward token, and we have a familiar. The familiar gives us a sword and an extra token draw, so I think I'm going to go ahead and give that to the druid, and then we can place our first of the 3 fairies here. Moving back to the druid, we're not going to move. We're going to try and take out this servant of darkness, which means we just need a sword and a hat. Let's draw our 3 tokens. So here's our first one. Time. Darn it. Oh, and someone asked about this. All of these are 2-sided because each of your heroes are 2-sided. You can do the male or the female side. So they thought that I might have had the wrong tokens because there's the wrong picture here. Well, it's the same tokens for both the male and the female side. So what you need to do is just simply match the color. So you can see here, I'm kind of this bluish color, so that's showing these are the druid tokens. Okay, that was our first draw. Let's go ahead and grab our second one. Okay, that's drawing from someone else's bag or ours if we want. And our third, nice, we've got our bow or our hat. I think we're going to use this, and we're going to use it on ourselves. We just need either a bow or a hat, really. not a bow. That is a bow, but this works. This is a sword, and we'll use this as a magical hat. That is enough to take out the Servant of Darkness. And then we can claim our second fairy. We will, though, have to move the time back to 9, and we'll go ahead and place this token here. But we do get a treasure. I love me some treasures. And we get a shield. The shield is super cool. This says if during that turn when you're drawing encounter tokens, if you draw a token that has a time marker where you're supposed to move up the time, this shield negates it. Cool. Definitely putting that in the druid's bag. We have 2 out of the 3 fairies. Let's have our prophetess go. And she'll move 3, which really just means she'll move 1 to the temple. Come on, be a fairy. Nope, we have an imp. And we have a giant fly. All hats. Well, looking at my cup, it's kind of empty. First time she's put all of her chips or any of her tokens back in her cup. That's kind of impressive. Let's go ahead and draw 3 and see what she gets. Lots of hats. Okay, there's 1 hat. That will take care of what? Oh, none of them, because they both need 2 hats. Okay, that'll take care of 1 of the enemies. And then her third token will be, a time and drawing another token. Now, if we remember her special ability, if you draw a token which makes you move the time counter forward, you may use that token also for a sword or a hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that a hat, and I'm going to utilize that extra token draw, hoping I can get 1 more hat. Then I can take out both enemies. Come on, luck. Let's see if we can do it. We got tons of hats in here. And we get the draw from another bag, or ours. So we'll go ahead and use that and draw from ours for sure. I think we still have the most hats. And we get a bow, which can be used for a hat. So hat, 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 and hat. But we will have to move up the timer. But we just defeated the giant rat, or the giant fly, and the imp. Our time will continue to tick, but I think we know that this final fairy is hanging out in the tavern. Which makes sense, right? Oh, awesome, another shield. Let's go ahead and put that in... Yeah, let's put that in the prophetess's bag. Moving back to the druid, we just need a 1. And we got a 2. That'll work. Our druid's over here in the castle. He's going to move to the tavern, where he will find the final fairy. And who's guarding the fairy? A wolf. All we need is 2 swords for that wolf. Let's see if we can do it. 2 swords, all that we need. Let's see. Okay, there's 1 sword, and there's 2 swords, and we're going to block any time issues that we have this round, which we don't have any time problems. We have 3 swords. That's more than enough to take out the wolf and gain our final fairy. We'll place that final fairy here, and we'll draw, because we still gain a reward, and we have a magical hat, and we have drawn extra token. This is a maiden. That's kind of funny. I actually haven't seen that one. Definitely going to go to our prophetess. Thankful to be free from the curse, the 3 fairies reveal the secret location where they have hidden the talisman. Your task. You must travel to the location that contains all 3 of the symbols shown on the 3 fairy tokens. Then you must rid this location of any enemies in order to find and claim the talisman. Our 3 symbols is this mushroom, this crystal-looking thing, and a butterfly. Over here in the Cursed Glade, we have a crystal, a mushroom, and a butterfly. So cool. This means that each time you play this, you're going to have a different final location, which for my son was super cool how that worked. We actually played this scenario twice, and he loved it because each time we had to end in a different location. Fortunately for us, there are no enemies there, so we just have to have someone get there. Our druid has finished his turn. Now moving to the prophetess. She'll roll a 4, but the time passes. We'll move the time here to 11, but as you can see, we're doing okay. This time I'm not going to cheat for movement. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, now our druid will go, and as long as he rolls a 3 or higher, or a 2 or higher actually, we'll win the game. Come on, 2 or higher. Oh, he gets a teleport. Nice. Nothing like finishing the game by teleporting to the Cursed Glade. The fairies have sent you in the right location. After assuring there are no enemies nearby, you dig up your first talisman from under a large exposed tree root. With great excitement, you celebrate your first success along with the fairies. You've successfully completed this adventure. Now place your first talisman into slot 1 of the scoreboard. The scoreboard is something with the box. I'm not going to show you that because I'm actually not using it. I'm doing something a little different. But regardless, that was the first scenario for Talisman Legendary Tales. So as you can see, this game is definitely on the lighter end of the spectrum, yet I think it's still going to provide us with replayability. Just from, you can see here, these are some different color tokens. They've got more icons that you need to get to defeat them. They've got hearts on them. I don't even know what they do. Look at, you have some farmer tokens. They look different. I don't even know what all these things are used for. So it's pretty cool. You have at least 5 adventures, and I could see this easily having some expansions to provide you with more replayability. I know I personally am going to keep this one because I have 2 boys, ages 2 and 4, and they're right at that time where they are loving this. They love pulling those tokens out of the bag, seeing if it matches to defeat enemies, and then moving across the board. It's a really cool, fun, and simple mechanic. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next stop.